What is going on, Dolphins fans? Jacob here, Miami Dolphins Syndicate. It's been about a week or so since I came here, talked to you guys, was out of town the last week, did some freelance work, commentating some college baseball games, but I am here, I am back, and we're going to open up things back today, talking about Tua'S contract extension. It's been a while since we've really heard anything moving on the Tua contract extension front. There was a point earlier this offseason where things really looked good, and really there's been a few points where it looked like they were close to getting deals done just based off what the reports we've seen from various either national or local reporters. And it was looking like this deal was going to get done. Here we sit here. It's May 13th, Monday, May 13th, and Tua still has yet to find himself with a contract extension. And I'm sure this is something that still him and the Miami Dolphins are continuing to talk on, but you do just start to raise your eyebrow just a little bit as the summer is now going to be coming upon us very soon, very shortly here. And Tua is entering his fifth year on his rookie deal that the Miami Dolphins picked up, and you certainly do not want your franchise quarterback going into his fifth year of his rookie deal without having a deal done. You take a look at just how much money he may end up making. You look at the top quarterbacks on the market right now that have signed contract extensions. You're looking at Joe Burrow. This is just on an annual basis. He is making the most money on a per year basis with $55 million, followed by Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson, both around the $52 million range. And unfortunately, I'll just say it like it is, unfortunately, Tua is probably going to get some similar type of money. I'm very middle of the road when it comes to Tua. When he's playing great, I love him. When he's playing bad, I rightfully question some inadequacies within Tua's game and his ability to carry a team along, and what that means for him, what that means for this team. I do have my question marks, like I feel is justified. I'm more on that fence than Donovan certainly is. However, when you're looking at those inadequacies and you're looking at the injury issues that he's had in the past, finally got himself through an injury-free season. However, that could just end up being an anomaly. Yes, the salary cap is continuing to go up, but if you're looking over $50 million for Tua, I'd heavily consider not signing that contract extension if I'm the Miami Dolphins, but all signs point to that is what's going to happen. I don't think the Miami Dolphins are dumb. I don't think the Miami Dolphins are just going to hand him over whatever deal he asks for. I don't think they're just going to give him a blank check. I really hope that they do not make him the highest paid quarterback in the league. We are seeing the ramifications of overpaying a quarterback off of a rookie deal with the New York Giants and Daniel Jones. They have it out after this year, but you're paying Daniel Jones $40 million to do what exactly? He was hurt last year, of course, but even when he was played, we saw him the game against the Dolphins last year down here in Miami, where Daniel Jones gets hurt and Tyrod Taylor goes into the game, and looks better than Daniel Jones does. What we've seen from Daniel Jones so far is he has certainly not lived up to the contract that he has been given. And that is something that I'm afraid of walking into with Tua. When you get a contract extension as a quarterback, it does limit the resources around the rest of the team. And this Dolphins team has really pushed the chips all in over these last couple of years, going out, getting Jalen Ramsey, going out, getting Tyreek Hill, even the picks in the draft up until this year have been kind of pushing in the direction of we're trying to win a championship right now. I believe Tua can help us win a championship. I believe Tua can get us to a Super Bowl, can win us a Super Bowl, but it does require very perfect circumstances, and those perfect circumstances certainly go down as the money goes up and you're unable to pay, or the circumstances get worse as the money available goes down and you have to pay Tua this large sum of money. I think the Dolphins are being smart with this. I think they realize the situation they are in with Tua, and I think they understand what Tua is as a quarterback. Now, you certainly will not hear anybody from this Dolphins team ever publicly criticize Tua or ever really publicly point out where his deficiencies are, like his size, like his athletic ability, like his arm strength, things like that, where you're not going to, as a franchise, put it out there saying, hey, we feel this about Tua, so we are a little bit curious as to whether we should give him this massive contract extension. But these are things that you have to take in consideration when you come to contract time. And when you're looking at $50+ million, something that there's only 4 contracts in the NFL for quarterbacks that are averaging above $50 million, the 3 I already mentioned, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar Jackson, as well as Jalen Hurts, are all averaging above $50 million a season. When you have such a rare presence of quarterbacks in this league that are making that type of money, and Tua is certainly would be the worst of that bunch. And again, all that goes into with him as a player, you really gotta ask yourself whether that's something what you really think that's something that's worth doing. And you look around this league, the league is blessed with plentiful quarterback talent. Justin Fields was a first-round pick just a few years ago. Now he finds himself behind Russell Wilson on the Pittsburgh Steelers. You see Kenny Pickett, first-round pick, show some talent, show some athleticism, show some arm power. Now he's backing up Jalen Hurts. Mac Jones, first-round pick. You're looking around this league, there's so much talent at the quarterback position, and often the case is if you're able to get that talent at the quarterback position with a good coach, to varying levels of degree, they find success. I believe Sam Darnold, if he's given the starting opportunity in Minnesota, I think he can get them to a wild card. I think even if everything goes absolutely perfectly, he can win the division for them. We know he has arm talent. We know he has pop in his arm, and that if you can take that talent and you give him the good coach with Kevin O'Connell, that's a recipe for success. Same thing down here with Tua. All those deficiencies like I mentioned, but you have Mike McDaniel. You can get to a playoffs with Tua. But if you're able to get a quarterback with even more upside, better arm strength, better athletic ability, this is not a video proclaiming that the Miami Dolphins need to replace Tua. Absolutely not. I believe that they have decided in their mind that Tua is the quarterback for this team, and for the right number, I'm certainly okay with that as long as his form from last season continues, as long as his injury record from last season continues. But the Dolphins, I think, are just being a little reserved with the amount of money they're willing to give Tua. We saw this with Christian Wilkins last year. Last year, Zach Zeeler got a contract extension, very same position as Christian Wilkins on that defensive line. He got a contract before Christian Wilkins did because of the money, because of the number. Christian Wilkins is a better player. Last year, statistically, he wasn't, just in the very least in terms of sacks, first stat that comes off the mind. However, you were not really willing to give him that massive contract extension just on the basis of the money. And we saw the money he got with the Raiders. That is great money, but the Dolphins have other issues on this team that they're going to have to tie up for the next few years. You're looking at Waller, you're looking at Holland, you're looking at Jalen Phillips. These guys that are hopefully going to be cornerstones of your team. The amount of money that you give Tua could potentially prevent you from giving one of those guys a contract extension. These are things that you have to consider in a salary cap league. You cannot just open up a blank checkbook, hand them out as you would like. And while I do like Tua, I don't love Tua, I like Tua, and I've seen him do great things for us. If you open up that checkbook and you're giving him anywhere between $50-$55 million, you are seriously hampering the abilities of this team to compete going forward. It's just as simple as it is. You're not going to be able to go out and get those guys like Tyreek Hill, like Jalen Ramsey, and other guys that you've brought in like Bradley Chubb. It's just not going to be able to happen. You're going to find more pieces stripped away from this team, like we saw this year with Robert Hunt, with Christian Wilkins, with Andrew Van Ginkel, and some other guys that we had to cut like Jerome Baker and Xavier Howard. That is something that is going to continue if you give Tua that type of money. Now, if Tua succeeds with that type of money and those players still leave, but we still find success, we still find us making playoff runs, winning a playoff game, if we get to a Super Bowl, yes, those players will have walked away, but Tua has earned the contract, then hey, fair enough. And I'm sure if the Dolphins find themselves in that situation, same thing. Hey, fair enough. You got us to the promised land, you got us to the Super Bowl, you got us to win a playoff game. Awesome. But it cannot be ignored what will happen to this team in terms of its roster if Tua gets that long-term contract extension. I think that's where the Miami Dolphins are at. That is the right place to be at. Is the right questions to be asking. You still have questions about his health. You still have questions about the upside of Tua's game. And when you look across the NFL and the talent that's coming in at the quarterback position that is working right away, and if they're not, they're being moved off for pennies. When you know you can find that in the draft, and you can find guys on the streets for pretty cheap deals, like the Buccaneers saw last year with Baker Mayfield, getting them to win a playoff game off of a very cheap contract. There are other options to be had around the NFL, the quarterback position. So Dolphins are taking their time. They're not rushing this. They're not getting themselves into a position where they give Tua a contract that he doesn't deserve. And Tua, of course, rightfully so, is trying to get as much money as he can. He doesn't know how long he's going to last in this league. He doesn't know how long his body's going to be able to hold up to. We've seen this just, on the forefront over the last few years. Finally saw him get healthy last year, but anything can change at any moment, even for players that aren't injury prone. So there's a lot that goes into this. I'm very curious to see what that final number will be, assuming it gets done at some point in this offseason. I believe it will at some point get done. Now it's just a matter of where that's at. If it's between 43 to 50, all right. I still don't love it, but all right. Anything above 50, I think is ridiculous. I think it's nonsense to be giving him that much money, but just the way this quarterback market has gone, just those next guys in line, those next younger guys, they just keep pushing the bar further and further and further. We see with guys in his own draft class here with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. I don't think he deserves that money. It's unfortunately probably going to be that money, but again, we'll have to wait and see. Wait to see this news pop off, because as things are, it's gone pretty quiet on that front, and you do not want to be going into training camp, into the regular season with these contract conversations looming over the team. Let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of this situation? Where do you think the contract is? When do you think it's going to happen? How much money should it be? Let me know down below in the comments. While down there, smash that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't done so already. Appreciate y'all very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Go Dolphins.